It's all good. The countdown, the final countdown. I like it. So,
right.
Hey guys, we got the man, the real estate machine, Randy Byrd, in the house. How you
I
doing,
thought we
Randy?
were talking about Doug. He's the real estate machine.
Man, I'm thankful to have you on here, Randy. This one's going to be fun, and I've got this giant bio of yours I'm looking at here, which is pretty impressive, and I'm going to maybe try and just kind of pull the Cliff Notes version out here, but. You're a guy who's owned brokerages. I mean, kind of serial entrepreneur, right, is the term that comes to mind when I think of it. But brokerage owner, you had Byrd House Development, served in the military, Tom Ferry coach, sat on stages with just some incredible people, Dr. John Gray, Dr. Bill Andrews, among others. Pretty impressive, brother.
Thank you, man. I just try to surround myself with good people. And that's what this journey is all about. It came from a place of ego early in my career. I just, very big ego that I recognized later in my career through coaching. I think everybody goes through that a little bit, but now it's just really about serving others. And when you really embrace that at a high level, that's when it really becomes magical. And that's just, I'm blessed to be able to share stages with some of these brilliant people. And, that's what fuels me.
Yeah.
Well, whatever's rubbed off on you, Randy, definitely rubs off on us as well. And, we love spending time with you. We love your energy. The knowledge base you have is immense. And then your willingness to help others really shows. And we're all affected by that. And we love it. It's fantastic.
I appreciate that. And I'm honored to be here with you and contributing whatever little way I can.
So, man, why don't you tell us kind of a little bit, about your background? I mean, I think you kind of started off right in the real estate leadership kind of role, or maybe sales before that. I don't know, but I mean, what took you into real estate? How did Randy Byrd end up in this?
I've told this story before, and the people laugh, but it's straight up the truth. I was just straight greedy. I was building houses and doing large additions and flips and stuff, and working on them in the rain for 7 months, making whatever, let's say it was 70 grand as a round number. And then my agent would come in, put a sign in the yard, do a couple open houses. I'm sure there was work going on behind the scenes, but to me, it looked like she's making 40 grand doing nothing. And I'm like, I'm going to do that too. So I literally got my license, and I was in Sonoma County, Santa Rosa, Napa.
Yeah.
And my ex-wife wanted to move to Redding. She was having a lot of reasons to want to move up where her sister was. So I was like, let's do it. Let's just move to Redding. And it's about 3.5 hours from Santa Rosa up north, up the top of the valley.
About the same north from Sacramento too, right?
Yeah. I knew 3 people in Redding. I knew my sister-in-law, her boyfriend, and then his friend. And that was literally it. And I just showed up one day and I interviewed for Coldwell Banker, literally, suit, tie, the whole deal, not knowing how this industry works. And I won the very first interview I ever went on, and they hired me on the spot on a 65-35 split. I was on the weekend of that 35. So, but I did it. I landed my very first position in real estate.
Man, so swinging hammers and said, I'm tired of the cold and the rain, and let's try something different.
Yeah, and he wanted to scoop a little more off the table.
Yeah, I was just wanting to double end it. I still stayed in construction for a while. I moved to Redding. I had a BMW 750. I didn't even own a truck. I was kind of a Napa Sonoma guy, right? Shoes with no socks. And
you're an oddball in Redding with that attire.
Yeah, and it snowed 14 inches a week after I moved there. And I couldn't even get my car out. So I did a lot of construction for the next 3 months. All the buildings it destroyed. It was a once a decade snowstorm. But, it just journeyed into a real estate career that I love. I mean, I loved it very quickly. It felt easy to me, not to take anything away from agents that are struggling or, it's a hard business. It just was never that way for me. I found it very easy. Got a gift of gab. I didn't mind.
I like to talk to people.
I didn't mind door knocking. Matter of fact, I did whatever they told me to do. I just did it, without question, because they know better than me, even though I might have been asking somebody that did one deal a year, but if you said do something, I just did it. And so I was walking 100 houses a day, a century day, we called it, if we knocked on 100 doors. And then we got to where we were trying to talk to 100 people a day. And all these things just really expanded into a lot of production. And, my very first full year in real estate, I did 338,000 GCI in a town that the average sales price was in the 160s.
Yeah, I mean, that town must have been like maybe 100,000 people, or
yeah, it was about 85,000 when I moved there. It's about 115, 20.
That's a lot of volume. And so what I'm hearing is, one, you understood the Grant Cardone principle that contacts equals contracts, right? You were making as many contacts as possible, and you were coachable. You were doing, they said, do this. Yep. You were doing it.
I was pretty stubborn, but I want to say I'm coachable. But man, in the early days, I was blindly just doing whatever I was told to do. And I think that could make me coachable in hindsight, because you want to lead by the ones that, are instructing you. But to give you an example, I love this story too, but my broker manager's like, oh, we have all this training stuff upstairs. It's like just millions of dollars of training material in this file cabinets up there. And I go, what's the best one? I don't want to learn everything. Just shortcut me. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. And they're like, just go pick out something that rings to you. That's, So I go up there, and you guys appreciate this, but I open up this metal cabinet. It was just like, hadn't been opened in 3 years. And I look, and there's all these dusty things and CDs and 8-track cassettes and this training, Coldwell Banker training.
All right.
And I pulled out Floyd.
Was that the office training, by the way?
What's that?
That was the complete office training in that cabinet.
That was the training system.
That didn't get open for 3 years.
This is not 77. This is 2003. And so I opened up this thing, and it was probably a 4-foot wide cabinet full of stuff. And I pulled out Floyd Wickman's Sweat Hogs. It was in a cassette, and I still had a cassette. And so I'm listening to Floyd Wickman, and the very first tape says, call 100 people a day at like 9 in. So I do that for a week, and I talked to 100 people, or I called 100 people a day for 5 straight days. And I made an appointment and got some CMAs and stuff to do. And then in week 2, he goes, okay, now don't call anybody at 9 o'clock. It's stupid. Everybody's working. Call them at 5:30. I'm like, why did I just do that? Why couldn't you just tell me that in tape 2? But it was a process of him wanting you to move through the motions of knowing what it felt like to call at 9 versus 5:30 at night. And then so I just, I did that, and I remember the agents walking by my desk. It's probably bringing back some trauma, but walking by my desk going, oh, it's Randy Byrd. This is Randy Byrd from Coldwell Banker CNC Properties. And they were just teasing me about making all these phone calls.
Yeah.
And nobody was doing it. And it wasn't that I was special. It's just that I didn't know anybody, literally.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, call your friends. I'm like, dude, I got 0.
You thought that maybe you thought that not knowing anyone was going to be a hindrance, because, we talk about sphere of influence and all that, and you didn't know anyone. You had to make contacts.
Had to. And I was just laser focused on adding 10 people a day to my database. Well, that grew very quickly if you think about the scalability of that. So no matter where I went, I could go to the car wash and I'm like, Jose, what's your last name? Dude, my name's Randy Byrd. Here's my card. Let me get your information. Then he became a contact. And, I grew it not knowing any different effectively.
I love that. Right. I mean, moving there, not knowing anybody in hindsight is probably a big part of why you're at where you are today. Right. It was, you had to put in the work, you had to put in the grind time, and then that just became kind of natural.
100% agree, because I was desperate. I was scared. I was literally, I had a family, I had 2 little boys, and I was making multiple 6 figures in construction, and basically career changed, effectively when we decided to move. I always felt that on that contracting ability to get me through tough times or extra money. And I always outproduced my problems. If I want a boat, I'm getting a boat. I'm just going to figure out how to outwork the boat. Right. It's just always
that's right.
My philosophy. But yeah,
so you had the boat, you're cruising around.
Yeah. I've never been without, because I'm willing to work 2 or 3 jobs. And my boys don't have this work ethic today. I don't think it exists like it did. I think there's individuals that possess it, but I think overall as a society, I was brought up in East LA, so all my friends were Hispanic. And man, when you learn from 0 to 17 years old how to work like that, it stays with you for life. And to this day, I still punish my employees when I work with them for a full day.
Yeah. They probably struggle to keep up with you, right?
There's no way they can't keep up. And I heard at the end of the day, and I'm not young like I was, but I still will outperform anybody that I've ever worked with. It's just has to be that way.
It has to be.
I love it. I love
driven.
That.
Yeah.
So at one point, I mean, you kind of you came out, you grind, you kind of establish yourself up there in Reading and on the sales side of things. And then, I mean, at what point did you shift more into kind of the development? You mentioned you were doing some massive addition and rehabs and things like that.
Yeah, I've always loved construction. If I had my way, I would do construction over everything. I mean, I really love building with my hands. I really love that aspect of it. What I don't like is the non-control, the employees and the subcontractors, and you're only as good as your weakest link. So if I have 20 subs, my job's only as good as my weakest link, which if it's the drywaller or painter or whoever, it is what it is. And I've never enjoyed that piece of it. But transitionally in real estate, when you start having some traction and some success, what do? You start buying properties, right? You buy investments. And my dream was to own a mini storage until I owned a mini storage. But that was like my pinnacle of my career was I'm going to own a mini storage. I'm going to own a 100 or 200 or 400 door mini storage. My buddy Jeff in Santa Rosa has 4,000 doors and he's never off the golf course. So I was like, that's successful.
Yeah.
And so I started buying a house and holding on to it and then flipping it and made a little money and did this again. And I'm proficient at it. So it didn't come difficult. And it was a good relay off of real estate, right? Real estate, construction kind of go back and forth. So I started doing flips and getting to that, ran pretty good sized projects. I've done everything from underground sewer and water pipe to commercial projects and, big additions of thousands of square feet. So I enjoy that still to this day. I'm doing a big patio in my backyard right now, and I'm in love and putting on my tool belts. But that 1.5 hours a day, it takes me a half an hour to find my tools, and then I get to work for an hour. So it's not as productive, but I do love it. And for the people watching your show, I would say this, find what you're passionate about, because I'm totally passionate about real estate. I'm totally passionate about construction. None of those ever seem like work to me, minus, a bitchy client and things happen that you can't control. But overall, I loved going in to do what I do. And so if you love that, like maybe a next thing for me is because then I still get to do the deal. That's what I love the most, by the way. I love the deal. I don't like I love demo day, but I don't like the 2 months of messiness and until the idea starts coming to fruition and stuff. I like the end when we're getting close. Yes. But honestly, I like the deal out of everything. I like the deal, man. I like to make the deal up front because you make your profit on the front end.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like that's such a common theme with, a lot of the people we talk to and ourselves even is, right? There truly is an art to that deal. And I mean, there's a high to it, man. Once you right, figuring out every little nuance and solving every problem that may, arise, it's addicting.
It is addicting. You guys are legends in this space. I mean, literally, you guys have done a lot of transactional business, a lot of flips, and you guys, when I met Doug in the parking lot in South Lake, and talking to him for 10 minutes, I'm like, this guy's a baller. This guy, you could tell when somebody's talking to impress or somebody's talking to, learn, and he's just learning based. And I remember talking to Doug for just a few short minutes going, that guy, I got to lock arms with him because he is legitimate. He understands the space, and he's also very open-minded and very coachable. So that's who I attract myself with. And I haven't let go of him since the day I met him in Tahoe.
That's right.
That was a great story, by the way, too.
Well, that was a lot of fun. It does, what you say rings true with me as well. The art of the deal is something that I get a lot of enjoyment out of. And, it brings to mind a story of this gal that, I'd been I probably spent 10 hours on the phone with this lady over multiple phone calls. Some of the calls were 2 hours long. Yeah. And we I just kept working the deal. And it was funny because every time I would get on the phone with her, you know, I would get a little bit more information, some more ammunition that I could use, and mostly trying to figure out how to solve her problem. But also the deal kept getting better and better. But she was a reluctant seller. And when I ended up with it, I was absolutely thrilled. The negotiating that, you know, that I went through, it just felt like a great accomplishment. I really enjoyed that part. I enjoyed closing. I enjoyed none of the rehab, none of it.
Yeah.
And but I sure liked. And Sheldon, you remember this one because you actually sold the house for me.
Oh yeah, I know what house you're talking about now. Yeah.
Yeah, and I enjoyed the closing as well. You know, when you've got a professional like Sheldon in the mix, he takes a lot of the burden off of you know, any of the selling process. Not that it's a great burden, but there's a lot of things that go on in a transaction where agents really earn their money.
Yeah.
And I was happy to have Sheldon do all of that work. And, you know, it was fantastic. So, yeah.
You got a gold star on that one. Cause I remember when you told me you bought that thing and wanted me to go look at it, the very first thing I knew the house instantly. I instantly knew what house it was. And that was the first thing I said to him. I'm like, how did you buy that thing? Like everybody's been trying to buy the house for years.
Is that right? One of those.
Dougie pulled it off.
Yes,
I love it. You know, I've been fortunate. I've never lost money on a flip ever. And I've come really close a few times, you know, housing them for way longer than we thought. And it just erodes the profit quickly, but especially now with margins getting tight as they are. But my benefit is I've always been able to fall back on my back. I'm physically able to go get myself out of a hole. And that was my pitch to investors. So maybe people watching your show, find out what you can do to pacify the investor to take away some of the risk. Like for me, I was like, hey, by the way, if you lend me this money to do this project and it goes south, I have a real estate license. I could sell it for free. I could also buy it and we could save the money there. I'm a general contractor myself. If the drywaller gouges us, I'll do the drywall. If somebody doesn't show up, I can plumb. We will stay on schedule. And all those things have helped me. I had a couple that at the very end, I was like looking at the settlement statement going, thank God that's in that color because it could have gone right.
That's right.
You know, you want me to share a couple of horror stories so people?
Oh, we would love to hear something that's make it funny, not sad.
I don't have anything really bad. I mean, I have some, you know, I mean, oh my God, in the REO days and flipping home and buying these things, pools that are green, you're pumping them out, just hoping there's not bodies in the bottom of them. I remember a dozen houses. I'm pumping the thing out and there's a Volkswagen in the bottom or there's dead animals and just, you know, all kinds of weird things that go on. But
up in Reading, or these were Reading.
We had this house in Reading, and it was supposed to be vacant, but I kept driving by there, seeing a lot of homeless activity, and it's across the street from the police station. I mean, the police station is across like a 4-lane road, but it's across the street, and so it's I could hit it with a softball, and so I'm like, yeah, it's not like, you know, it's gonna be too bad. So I do wear a concealed weapon. I have for California, Oregon. I have for years. I just believe in that protection element for realtors, especially more than ever with some of the stuff we've had in the headlines. But so I walk in there and the door is screwed shut from the inside. So I know that somebody's in there. And the utility panel's got this big old wire stuck in there without the meter, and it's running through the attic of the porch into the house. Like, you guys are creative, you know?
Right.
I kind of pushed the door open with my weight, and I go in there. I'm drawn, but I'm not like running around like, you know, Dirty Harry. But I'm walking through the house in a precautionary stance and just going, hello, Randy Byrd, real estate, doing all this stuff.
Is it dark? Is it light?
It was dark. There was not a light on the house. They had all the windows were kind of blocked up, super dark. In the middle of the morning, though, it was probably 8 o'clock. Okay. And so I get to the back of the house. This back hallway is totally dark, and there's a door, and the door's shut. And so I knock, and I'm like, I'm getting goosebumps again because you get that hair on your neck standing up.
Oh, yeah.
When I touched the door. And as I opened the door, I got bum rushed by about 15 people that were hiding in this bedroom. And to this day, I'm still so blessed I didn't shoot anybody because it was the scariest thing. And they just ran over the top of me. They were just trying to get out.
Yeah.
But I've had so many of those situations to where I've gone into these things and you're not expecting somebody to be in the attic or something, and you're working and all of a sudden you got, a live body that just decides to either come falling through the drywall on top of you or you're not alone. And, I still think that story is, one of the weirdest, scariest kind of things that happened, but lots of things, people stealing stuff and stripping copper wires. And
right.
I mean, it's really tragic what happens to these vacant houses. Frankly, we've gone to great lengths to put security cameras now. They're all wireless, and we've done a lot of things, but that's probably, the highlight of some of the things I could think of right away.
That is pretty scary, having a bunch of people start rushing at you.
Yeah.
And it's because you're blocking the exit.
I might have been swinging in the dark. I don't remember. I just remember that I was just in the way.
You were in the way.
I was in the way, and they were crawling out the windows. I mean, they didn't. It was kind of.
Were like kids? Were they adults? Were they?
These were all 20 and 35 age group. Like it was a bunch of homeless, and they kind of took over. And there was an African-American female that was kind of the ringleader. Because I remember talking to her a couple of times before this when they were in the yard and some things. And, she just had this possum or a kind of a posse of people that followed her. And it was a dozen and a half people.
Oh yeah. They tend to know what the rules are that you can enforce, what rights they have. Even sometimes they will fabricate paperwork so that they are tenants, right?
Oh, I've seen it.
Oh, yeah. And now it's not just you showing up saying, "Hey, get off my property." It's
no.
You need a judge.
You do have different rights as a homeowner versus a real estate agent, all that stuff. So, but you're right. I've had them produce phony paperwork. I've had them barricade. I mean, another time, this one gave me goosebumps to this day again, but I had a house that we bought from the wife and husband estranged.
Okay.
But when we went to take possession, the husband was refusing to leave. Now we have paperwork and everything else, but he was a Vietnam vet and he was just not right. I'm a vet, a lot of respect for those guys. So I thought I could bond with them and I thought I could have these conversations. It wasn't happening. He booby trapped the house so bad that we thought we had the cops sweep it, but it was all for show. But he left shotgun shells on the porch that were all expelled, and then the door was tripwired with stuff that would fall over and make a bunch of noise. And it was like a haunted house the way he had it all. All the drawers in the kitchen, when you pull on one, the bottom would fall out of them. It was just, he orchestrated quite a disaster. When in hindsight, it was a little kind of laughable, but I remember his name, his first and last name to this day. This has been 16 years.
I was going to say that one would be spooky because
it was spooky.
Yeah. Those Vietnam dudes, some of those guys, man, they were,
Well, and it wasn't just that, it was him leaving me messages that you're dead. You come on my property, you're dead. I don't care what we did. We're reneging on it. And and so we're having the sheriff come out. We're doing some police standbys and different things. But once we swept in and finally got clearance, and then we took possession and locked it out and did all that stuff to take ownership, that's when we started finding all these doors were hardwired and electrical to doorknobs. It was like Home Alone 3, man. It was so weird. But people do weird things when they get especially when they're selling under duress or divorce or foreclosure or whatever it was.
There can be so many emotions involved in the entire process, Yeah.
That brings up a story that didn't happen actually that long ago. This one was only a couple of years ago, but it was a scenario where a foreclosure happened, right? And I worked for the team that bought the foreclosure at auction. I did go over there and attempt to do some cash for keys, but the guy absolutely wanted nothing to do with anyone. And so we ended up having to, go through the eviction process. And when we showed up to do the eviction, and I learned more about this guy, he was a veteran as well. I think he was in Gulf War I, so a Desert Storm, right? And at whatever time he got out, he still had that military mindset, like a lot of people do. I bet, Randy, you can attest to that military mindset right there.
I got out right when Desert Storm happened.
Yeah. And so this guy, he was not cooperative with the police at all, not whatsoever. They had him handcuffed. He had dogs, big dogs in the house, all sorts of things. And as I pulled up, he looked at the back of my truck, and I've got a license plate cover that says, 82nd Airborne. And so he saw that because he was a paratrooper as well.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden he just started responding to me. And when he learned that, I was just one rank above him, he's like standing at attention, and he's like, yes, Sergeant, no, Sergeant. And him and I built a really good rapport. Yeah. And of course, I don't know how much hardship this guy was having and what sort of mental duress he was under, but I was able to help sort of coach him along and have a peaceful exit from the property. And it was, there were probably 6-7 squad cars there. There's like 15 different officers there, and they, just couldn't get any rapport out of him whatsoever. And I show up and everything started going smoothly thereafter. It ended up being a good story because potentially this guy had guns. He had all sorts of things. He had, big dogs, and, it could have gone really, really south, but anyway.
Sounds like it.
I like it. So, Randy, you're one of those guys that I think, no matter what kind of position somebody puts you in, or, if your back's against the wall, you're going to find a way to come out on top. So we're going to kind of give you your undercover billionaire moment here. So let's say we pick you up and drop you in the middle of a city somewhere with no money. What's your first step? If you've got to go find a deal within 30 days,
just so you know, we did not talk about this at all.
No, I'm 100% putting you on the spot.
Well, I love it because I was just thinking about this the other day. And for me, it's like a no-brainer because I've done that. I did it without knowing it, right? But so let's just say you fall out of an airplane, like airborne man here, and you land in, let's just call it Utah, Wisconsin, Nevada. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I believe that I could do 12 to 24 transactions in the first year, just from sheer knowing the numbers of the systems now through coaching and different things. But number one, it's almost like just like Grant Cardone. Start meeting people and find out who the influencers are in the area.
Make contacts.
Vendors, you're going to need the contractors, the plumbers, the guys that do pictures and aerial photography and all that. But more importantly, I want to start connecting with people to find out what their real estate needs are, and then learn the market. Anytime that you can take and put a micro on it instead of a macro, a big area, if you could micro it, you could become the expert in it. If you drop me in Salt Lake City and I don't even know the population, but say it's got 1 million, I can't be the boss of 1 million. But I could find a subdivision that has 500 homes or 1,000 homes, and I could be the boss of that. I could be the expert in there in a short period of time. So a lot of what I teach in coaching is making sure your farms that you're looking at have good turnover, at least 6% annual. There's plenty of homes. You're doing at least 500 homes, and then you can become the mayor, the digital mayor of that particular area. I would replicate that over and over. Sweat equity versus check equity, right? If I had no money, then I would sweat equity it. I don't have a choice. I got to walk 100 doors a day or talk to 25 people a day. Those numbers work out. It doesn't matter with COVID. I still would do it. I'd knock on the door and walk halfway out the yard and say, I'm sorry, I wanted to be respectful, but I'm here to do business. Do you or anybody thinking about buying, selling, and investing, right?
Yep.
And then I would walk all the businesses. This is something that was successful for me in the beginning of my career, is I was meeting the businesses, because business owners have employees, and business owners, if you get a relationship, they'll let you come in. Dry cleaner has 7 employees. So dry cleaner, build a relationship, and then you go, hey, do you mind if I pitch how to buy your first home to your employees? They get a home. They're going to be leveraged. They're not going to leave you. It's good for everybody. I did that with some of the casinos and some of the other things, just teaching them loan programs and whatever I can. And sometimes I had to learn it right before I was teaching them, right? But that's what I would do. I would just, it's not about winning for me. Survival is a big thing. I was brought up in a rough area of East LA, and, many a times I had to fight my way home, literally, just to get to a safe place again. And so I say that not to brag, but it's kind of in my DNA. I'm going to survive, right? Yeah. Sometimes it's not Grant Cardone, 10X and all this stuff. Sometimes it's just, I just want to survive to get a place footing and a place to where I can now look and say, okay, where do I want to go now? And so for me, it's just the tenacity. It's just the drive. It's just the unrelentless, not taking no for an answer. And doing that with a way conversationally that allows you to not, rub people wrong. And then eventually people are going to want to work with you. The statistics are ridiculous. Like 90% of all transactions, only 17% of those people use that realtor again. I mean, those numbers are really insane. So that means there's always opportunity for an agent willing to do the work.
So what I understood, Randy,
I
understood that you're going to define your market, right? At whichever one you thought was a good opportunity. You're going to have systems, habits, and routines that you did regularly, and that would lead you to success.
Absolutely. It's just a numbers game at the end of the day. And it sounds too simple to be true, but it is. It's a numbers game. And when you look at most agents that are not having success right now, and if this, I'm talking to you right now, I'm sorry, but if you're not having success, if you're not reaching your goals, show me your calendar and I'll show you your problem.
Yeah.
Everything is built into your calendar. If you have your systems and follow-ups and lead time and all this stuff carved out, it's just a matter of time before you're successful and you start adding to that funnel. So, if I moved into a brand new area, I would not call 5 to 10 people a day like most agents may luckily get through, right? I'm looking for 100 people to connect with during the day because I'm hungry. I'm hunting. I've got to get out there. I've got to hunt. I'm a lion. I've got to make it happen.
So some people call that the grind, right? When you're making those calls over and over again, and you have described how that grind for you is something that you have always done. And so it is, it's no different than any other day. But for people that aren't used to that grind, you're a coach. How do you change their paradigm, their viewpoint, so that they can embrace that process and get through to being successful?
It's a great question. I have a statement here from the great Glenn Stanford, the EXP founder, and it's on my wall because he just said it in passing in a clubhouse not too long ago, and I was like, holy crap, I got to write that down immediately. But he said, your big purpose is the key. Little stuff won't matter. Your purpose does not matter, and it doesn't matter what you add to the end of that. COVID, pandemic, who the president is, what company I work for, nothing matters. If you have a purpose that is bigger than you.
The big why. Why are you doing
that? And people think it's like, a why in the road. It doesn't have to be. But when you align with what you really enjoy, now I happen to really enjoy coaching and mentoring and inspiring people. It's my deal. I get to do that. And it's like a drug to me. I really enjoy that piece of it. So it's not work for me. But now I get to do that. And if Zig Ziglar, if you help enough people get what they want, you get what you want.
Love that saying.
And I'm living through that channel right now. It's on the back of my business card to remind me at all times. Yes. We get complacent. We forget.
100%. So, Randy, you are absolutely killing it in everything real estate. I mean, leading a team of 500 plus agents now and growing, not to mention a coaching business that's just absolutely exploding. But, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you, man?
Instagram, Coach Randy Byrd, pretty much everywhere. Facebook, you could find me and all that stuff. randybyrd.tv is my website. That'll lead you to the coaching website and to get a hold of me. But yeah, social media. If you can't find me, something's wrong, probably.
Coach Randy Byrd. Yeah, you're definitely easy to find. Your stuff's everywhere out there.
Well, it's part of our life we live.
Yeah. we love everything that you're doing, Randy. And, you know, your influence, all that you've learned is rubbing off on us as well. And we love to be around you and soak up as much of that as we can. It's really is a blessing.
I'm soaking it up from you guys. Don't be mistaken for a second. You guys are really crushing it. I'm super excited to be involved in your show. I think it's episode 3 or so. And as you grow this, again, I'll be not only cheering for you, but supporting you along the way. You guys are going to make a difference. You're making a difference. And I'm just, again, I'm blessed that we met in that parking lot and it led to other people. And Sheldon, you and I are accountability partners. That's legit. And I'm just blessed to be in the same circle as you guys.
I love it. I love it. We appreciate it, man. Well, let's get after it, huh, boys? We got work to do.
I got doors to knock on today. I'm kidding about that, but
well, you do have some calls to make.
Calls to make. All right, Randy. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Have a great day. Appreciate it, boys.
Thank you.
All right.